Hello, everybody. Sorry we're late.
Yeah, that's mostly my fault. My apologies. Yeah, James is definitely rightfully shaking his head.
Yep, we were all here on time except for Mr. Ultra David. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, and Kara.
Yeah, and Kara. Yeah.
But definitely welcome to the still, as of yet, unnamed Tuesday
Yeah,
show.
we still have no idea what we're gonna call this show. It happens to happen on Tuesday. That's all.
Yep. But we actually have a very a specific topic we wanted to talk about. Recently, in the fighting game community, there's been a lot of discussion that's come up as a result of, the Cross Assault show. And, it's kind of brought up a bigger topic. I don't want to talk about that incident specifically.
Right.
This is actually a bigger issue that I feel even transcends the fighting game community and just kind of into the competitive gaming community all in itself.
Yep.
And I kind of want to talk about sexism in the fighting game community and in competitive gaming in general, and just how the atmosphere is for women in general in the community. And so we actually the thing is, there's a lot of men out there talking about this.
Right.
And to be honest with you, like, why are they talking? It's not like they know what it's all about.
Yeah, like a lot of us have ideas on things, but we don't really know how it is, and we probably don't even know what some of the issues are exactly.
Right.
So that's why we have invited on 4 guests, and we've also gotten introductions. They can introduce themselves better than I can.
Did you turn on the microphone?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, I was making a funny noise, but go ahead.
Okay, cool.
This will be good.
Okay.
So please introduce yourself.
Well, I'm Monique, or I guess people know me as Jacarandas or Blanca Nieves. So.
Hello, I'm Kara. Most people probably know me as Caraface, mostly as a photographer in the fighting game community. So glad to be here.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Sherry. You guys probably know me as Sherry Jennings, and I play Street Fighter 4.
Hi, everyone. I'm Megumi Expert, and I'm kind of from the esports scene, more StarCraft, so I'm very happy that you guys invited me.
All right.
Sorry, passing it back?
Yeah, sure. So
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So you each have different takes on competitive gaming, and you each have different reasons for having joined the competitive scene, and some of you are in fighting games or in StarCraft or in Counter-Strike and that kind of stuff. There's a lot of experience here, so that's why we invited all these different people on.
Yeah, and basically, I guess what we're gonna do is we're just gonna bring up a few topics, and then also go through. Some people have actually sent me emails as well and Facebook messages. Some more females from the community, and they've just been kind of talking about it. And I would like to read some of those out there and ask for your guys' opinion on that. And I guess the first thing that one of the first things that I actually did want to talk about was. Right now, this is definitely an issue that's being brought up. A lot of people are talking about this. And I guess I would like to know what your guys' opinion on... A lot of people like to bring up kind of the double standard argument, right? Saying, oh, if we did this to guys, it wouldn't be a problem, but we have to be careful because we're doing this, like people are talking... people are saying mean things about, like, girls or whatever like that. And, I actually am a lot of people are using that argument to state that sexism is not a problem in competitive gaming communities. A lot of them try to say, like, it's not actually a problem because, and anytime you go in there and try to defend them, you become a white knight. And then everyone's always like, oh, you're white knighting and blah, blah, blah. But, to be honest with you, I think we need to address this topic because I think it's a real problem. I actually think it is an issue. Oops. I do think that it is an actual issue, and it needs to be addressed, and it needs to get to a point where we can actually all start to move, like, forward, like where we can try to become a friendlier environment and such. And so, I mean, I guess, from your guys' standpoint, or from your girls' standpoint, does that feel that way to you? Do you feel like, it is a double standard, or do you feel like it is something that needs to be addressed?
Well, I mean, as far as the whole idea of a double standard, I think this really goes back for me is this whole argument, it mirrors the notion of reverse racism, which I think is complete baloney. I'm sorry. In a power construct, you have people who are on top, and then you have people who are subjected to that power. So if we want to take, for example, fighting game communities, or really any gaming communities, in general, and I think this really mirrors society, but let's just talk about gaming communities in general. Mm-hmm. They're masculine spaces. So when you have women who are a minority within a masculine space, to say that a woman making a comment to a man carries the same weight as a man making a comment to a woman that might be threatening or not inviting, I think to make those say that they're like the same value, I just don't think it carries any weight.
Right.
Kind of want you to explain more about what exactly you mean by the double standard, actually.
Well, I mean, a lot of people have been saying things, for example, like, someone gave me an example just a while ago. I don't remember what the example was, but, if say, for example, I started talking smack to a guy, and I was like, you suck, whatever, and I just started going in on him, and made maybe like a racist comment or something like that. It's all good and fun and everything like that. But then as soon as you direct those kind of comments to women, we're supposed to be more careful now, and we have to be, all of a sudden, try to be, walk on eggshells, I guess, as a lot of people have kind of called it. And, to me, I absolutely think that is what we need to do now, because we need to try to make this more inviting, for all people, different race, gender, creed, whatever.
Okay, so what I'm hearing you're saying is that you're feeling like it's not so much like we're the double standard, but where you feel like you have to censor yourself once there's a presence of the female.
Yeah.
But once a female is in the room, it's like, oh, we have to watch ourselves, or else we're going to get, lashback or whatever that is. That is very true, because, traditionally gaming always been a male space. It's always been like, you could almost think of it as almost like a male locker room kind of thing. Because like literally a bunch of guys there with their gaming consoles or in a LAN party, what they're already doing, they're just, quote, dicking around, playing games and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden a female comes in, the dynamics completely change. And the huge part about that, really, when you think about it, that's the obvious fact. It's a female body. Because, I mean, even if someone who is, say, let's take, for example, Ricky Ortiz. He's a well-known gay gamer in our game, or in our community.
Right.
He, even when he's subjective to with his stuff, it's still not the same. Even as effeminate as he is, his gender role being, closer to what is traditionally female than what is male.
Right.
There's still not the same tension. The tension comes to the fact that it's actually a female, and the gaming community still has not come to a consensus of exactly how to deal with it.
Right.
And that is why you have stuff where there's that double standard, and there's the thing where people feel like they're censoring because no one knows what to do. Right. There's no real correct space right now.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, I actually want to ask Sherry a direct question if I can.
What's up?
Because, I mean, those that know you, we talk about a lot, where people are, talking shit and, going in on people. Mm-hmm. You actually kind of enjoy that, environment. Sometimes you like to talk shit back to people and stuff like that. So, I mean, I guess just from your standpoint, how do you view that kind of thought that you have to be careful around girls and stuff like that?
To be honest, I'd rather prefer it not to be that way. But I understand why right now at this time, guys would have to be careful to what they say to women, because they're just not comfortable in that situation. Our presence hasn't been there long enough for everything to be okay. But since I'm used to this environment, being around males all the time, because I've been in the car scene, right. So I'm kind of used to just they would talk shit to me and I'd be able to handle it fine. And I'd say the same shit back to them, I talk about my penis and whatever crap like that. It'd just be normal. But I'd understand for other females who aren't used to that type of verbal abuse, I guess. You'd have to take it easy on them because they're just not used to it.
Right. And so actually, let me ask Tricia a question as well. A lot of people have been saying that the fighting game community needs to censor itself to try to be more like the StarCraft community. And, that's just from a lot of people out there who I don't think are really familiar with the StarCraft community, right? I mean, just from you've been in the scene for a while now. You're a pretty prominent member in there. From your standpoint, what have you seen from the StarCraft community in terms of, like blatant sexism or anything like that?
I think it's a little bit, well, to be fair to the fighting game community, is that better?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a little soft-spoken. But I think just sexism is anywhere. I think maybe StarCraft, it's not as blatant because when it's in a professional tournament or so forth, right? Everybody's dressed in suits, so the ambiance is very different. So even when you're dressed up nicely, you already carry yourself differently, correct?
Right.
Like if you're in working clothes, you're in a suit and everything, you usually dress the part and you act the part. But then when you're in comfortable clothes, at home, then you can be a little bit like a bum and more relaxed. So I think that's a major thing why there's a huge difference, because when there's tournaments for StarCraft, it's usually, everybody's dressed in suits, the attire is different, and then there's a stadium. So there's a way that we've been, I guess, the norms for that kind of ambiance requires us to be a bit more professional. So I think that's why you don't see, incidents previously. But outside of that, I think there's sexism anywhere. Like if a girl ladders, or if a girl on forums, or she only got on the team because she's a girl, and they have points, and there's points on both sides. I can't argue. I have to be the first to admit, I think if you're a girl, it's much easier to get in the gaming community, get recognition, to get your foot in the door, because you're a female, and they are all saying, these lovely ladies are saying that there's not many females in the scene, so of course you're going to catch attention, just like Jeremy Lin right now in the NBA. He's catching attention because he's Asian. It's not like there's no other basketball players who already accomplished what he did. But the thing that makes it so amazing is that he's a minority in that scene, just like Obama being president. I mean, the big thing is that he's a minority being president. So I think that's how it applies to female gaming, because it's a rarity that to have female gender in the scene. So yes, I agree that women get the foot in the door easier, but I do feel that people should be a bit more fair to the female gamer, because I think it is harder for females to gain respect, though. So I kind of see it in both ways. Yes, I admit it's easier to get the attention, but I kind of feel like they have to work harder to prove themselves, to show that, hey, I didn't just get in through luck. Sherry, she, if I'm not mistaken, she got top 8 in a tournament, right? Top 8. Or was it? But still, see, it's still tournament. It doesn't matter. But the point is, she still has the skills, So I feel like for her, it might be a little bit harder to prove herself than maybe a female, or same with StarCraft 2 players or Counter-Strike or what have you.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Go for it.
Okay. Just on the issue of shit talk.
Right.
I think there's something that everybody's kind of dancing around, and it's that the shit talk that happens between men is, I see it all the time because I'm a loud person, and I say it too. It's like, this fucking scrub just mashes DP.
Right.
Or this person, good blocking with your face, you fucking suck. I hang out with, I for anybody who knows Dirty Sanchez, if you saw his Cross Assault video, I hang out with this guy. And this is the sort of thing we hear with men. When it comes to women, the talk is completely gendered. It's not shit talk. It's, is she an attention whore? If she walks into the arcade, or if she walks into a tournament, why is she here? And if she does well, then she's doing well because a guy's letting her have it, either for promises of sexual favors, or it's always heavily sexualized. So that's something to keep in mind. It's not that everybody has to be delicate with women. We're not all delicate, and it's a competitive scene. So, I mean, that sort of competitive behavior is natural, but it's that it's specifically and very gendered for women.
So in other words, if we came up to you and were like, "Yo, you fucking suck," that wouldn't even be as bad.
I don't even think that would be as bad. It's just like, oh, you fucking suck, and you didn't actually win that. That guy let you have it because he's trying to fuck you.
Right. That's what it always comes down to.
I mean,
exactly.
that's basically it.
Right.
Or say like, your skills only come from because you're sleeping with so and so, and that's teaching you.
Exactly.
That's happened a lot.
Right. Okay. Cool. Well, you had a question, David, or?
Let's see. Actually, I was hoping that we could kind of like start over a little bit. As far as the introductions go, I'd like people to hear how each of you got into competitive gaming and like which games you have experience with and what your experiences have been like in those scenes. So it's just like kind of everything, but I think that at least at a general level, people would be interested to know that stuff about each of you. So okay.
All right. I mean, I'm 30, so I think like most people my age, we just kind of grew up as all these fighting games were coming around, and you played Street Fighter because it was out, you played Mortal Kombat because it was out. But as I got older, I'm gonna actually be frank, I have not played anything competitively or really, that much since Tekken 5, and that was 2005. When I was in the arcades, lived in the Midwest, arcades died there, and well, they died in Missouri at least. So that's my sort of experience.
They died everywhere.
No, but that's not true. I mean, Southern California, now that we moved here, has a wonderful, they have wonderful arcades. Super is amazing. But yeah, so I played Tekken 5. I played Samurai Showdown because it's SNK. I'm a Mexican, Hi. No que soy colombiana, hola. So yeah, but now I've just stuck around. My husband's in the scene. He played Guilty Gear. He plays Street Fighter. He's always playing Super Turbo. Oh, I'm sorry. He's always playing Super Turbo, and I'm just trying to. Most of my friends are in the scene, and that's how I'm still around somehow. So.
Okay, mine's is going to be a pretty interesting story for anyone who knows my backstory already. Anyways, competitive gaming. First got into it around the age of 14, 15. Actually was not in fighting games community. I was in Counter-Strike. Was part of the Counter-Strike scene for 9 years, actually. Almost 10. So even though I'm an 09er in fighting games, I'm old school in FPS and stuff. And what's very peculiar about my story is with the first-person shooting community. You can imagine when I was 15, I was a lot different from how I look now.
Right.
So basically, that's the community I actually transitioned my gender in, from male to female. So there definitely was a huge dynamic shift when you present male and when you present female and how people treat you and such. There's a huge dynamic change. You're ousted from something and people don't talk to you the same. You notice it immediately. At least I did, because you know what? I got to be inside that quote males club at one point.
Well, let me ask you this question really quick. When you made the transition, was it very public in the Counter-Strike community? Did they know, did you disappear and then come back and they didn't know you were the same person? Or were you very open with it and, were in it the entire time and they watched the transition?
All right. Honestly, in the Counter-Strike community, it wasn't really well known that much. But the thing is the Counter-Strike community, we actually had a group of women. On IRC, we basically was on the Game Search Network, and there was a channel called Woman Nation and such. And when I transitioned after transitioning and stuff like that during, kind of was adopted by one of the founding female teams. It was part of Everground that I joined, and the females tended to accept it. Wasn't really known back then as even as male and stuff. Like, of course, some people knew because I was pretty active in certain forums. So some people knew about it. Of course, I got flack about it, but never blew up quite as much as like in the fighting game community. Because the fighting game community, oh my god, that stuff blew up so fast in my face.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, Counter-Strike wasn't ever that big of a news, but like people who knew about it, yeah, gave a lot of shit about it. The surprisingly the females in the community were fine with it, and they were okay with me doing like female only leagues, probably because I wasn't good, period, but that doesn't matter. It was just fun.
Well, I mean, I guess one of the questions that I am curious about, did you see any of the same people that didn't know you transitioned and didn't know you were the same person? And did they just treat you completely different all of a sudden the second, when you saw them again? I mean, I'm just curious if you just detected a drastic shift in attitude with the way that people actually interacted with you in the scene.
I don't know if it's like a drastic shift where people interact, because like a lot of the people who like I interacted with as male and stuff, like I didn't really keep in touch after I transitioned. Yeah, because I don't know, I just didn't. But some people who knew me, like, because I wasn't able to hide my tracks, because I even changed my screen name and stuff like that.
Right.
So, but some people who like knew, I was hounded, basically a marked target for that kind of thing.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
No. Okay. Let's see. My first game ever was Street Fighter 4, right before I turned super. And I just heard it. I say the first time I entered was Ladies of Street Fighter, which is why I strongly support events like Ladies of Evo and stuff like that, because it brought out people like me. I didn't really play the game that much. I was never into games really, but my friends asked me to join this tournament, and I was like, you know what? Hey, I'm open to trying out new things. Why not? Right. Of course, I got last, and I was like, man, I fucking suck at this game. But I was like, all right. That was my point where I was like, am I gonna take this seriously, or am I just gonna like drop this thing? And I was like, you know what? The community seems fun. This game is fun. I might as well just stick with it. And then I tell this story to everyone. The most inspiring moment for me was I decided to go to Evo that year. So it was Evo 2009.
Right.
And I didn't know anybody. I just went there and I was just like, I got bodied, went 0-2. And then but I stayed there until Sunday to watch the finals just to see how everyone else plays. And I didn't know who Justin was. I didn't know who Daigo was. And it was grand finals of Street Fighter 4, and here we have Justin playing Daigo. And then Justin lost, but he switched to Balrog. And then he won. And Austin
reset the bracket.
Yeah,
right?
He reset the bracket, and he was from the East Coast. He was still in New York back then. So everyone from the East Coast, we all know how like hyped the East Coast gets, right? They just went nuts, and I was like, "Yo, this shit is nuts!" And I was like, "Let me do this. I want to get into this." I was like, "I want to get that far in something like this because it would be really interesting and fun to do." So ever since then, I've been playing it seriously. And I used to just play at like local tournaments. That's when Arcade Infinity was still open. So I only posted in like the SoCal thread on SRK. No one really knew me. I was just like the girl who just went and played, and I just got to know the people that went to AI. And all of a sudden, just 2 years passed, and then I guess I just started traveling to tournaments, and my name kind of got out there. And now I receive a lot of love, and I receive a lot of hate. It's probably because I'm a female, which, it is what it is.
Right.
But, I kind of got used to it from the car scene. So that's because when you enter as a girl in the car scene, it's already like, oh, this girl's an attention whore. She doesn't really drive. She doesn't care about cars. She just wants to wear these slutty things and pose on cars and take pictures. But, I was kind of used to it already, so it didn't really bug me as much as it would bug others. But I came here to play. That's what I'm here for. So you can shit on me all you want, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna stop playing. So that's where I am now.
Good stuff. All right, Tricia.
Everyone's story is so interesting that I forgot the question in the beginning. I was like listening to the first one, and then Cars one was the most interesting, and I was like listening, and then when she passed it, I was like, wait, what am I supposed to say? Because I don't remember, and I was like, oh, okay. When Sherry did hers, I was like, okay, introduction, and then I was like, oh, Cars, and then now it's my turn. I'm like, oh, my turn. So, it's how we got into gaming, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, or known as Megumi Expert, but I have 2 older brothers, and they're much older than me. One is 14 years older, one is 10 years older, so you can already kind of see how that goes. I have an older sister, she's 12 years older, but she got married and went to Japan when I was like 7 or 8. So basically I grew up with 2 older brothers, and they're not going to treat me like a little... Like, they treat me like a little sister brother, Right. Fart on me, burp on me. Like, they always do that. They'll be like, Tricia, come here, I have a secret. And then, like, run over. And then be like, what is it? And then at that level, I was, like, to their butt. So, like, they just pushed my head against their butt and fart on me. And then when I got smarter, they used to be like, Tricia, come here, I have a secret. And then I'd, like, stand, like, I'd come close and be like, no, tell me here. And then, like, so, like, that's my childhood. I used to get in trouble.
Same for me.
I always...
Except I was the older brother.
See, it's so bad. And then they, like, move their arms like this in a circle, like a windmill thing. And I'd be in the corner and be like, don't move. And then they'd be like, don't touch me. Right, and then I got smart one time to be like, don't touch me back. And then hold out your finger. And then they'd be like this, don't touch me. Like, they're so like, I always got owned all the time. So... That's why I played video games. Like, since they're so much older, like, I played the first Nintendo where it wouldn't work. So you have to pull it out and, like, blow on it and then pray that it works. Right. And, like, magically that blow all of a sudden makes it work. Yep. So I played Super Nintendo. I played, like, N64, all those things. I did play fighting games, like, when I was little. Like, I used to play. I tell everyone, like, I used to have to put a Band-Aid on my thumb because it'd get so raw. From playing on the... Like, you remember when it was a cross, so I'd play and I'd put tape on it and I'd play until I can't open my eyes. But then later on when they got older, that's when Blizzard games kind of blew up. So then that's how I got into, like, StarCraft and Warcraft and Diablo. And now I like RTS. I think that's kind of what I favor more. So I'm more sticking with StarCraft. But I have been playing fighting game. Right. So, like Sherry, well, not like Sherry. I'm not. I could pray to be like Sherry one day, but I mean, like in the beginning of your story, at least that's similar. Like I've been trying to go to the Wednesday night fights. Like every time I go, I play in the tournament. I get bodied, like she said. I'm learning the lingo. I just get owned so bad. Okay, I played Ultra David on my first tournament thing. He was like laughing and playing at me at the same time. It was pretty bad. So, I mean, I'm trying, and I thought like if I'm gonna go, like might as well just get in there, I don't want to just be a spectator because I feel like it's fun. Like, I'm meeting all you cool people, everyone. So I'm just like, I might as well just play. I don't care if I lose. At least I'm trying, So I'm trying little by little, trying to balance that. And that is my story. Okay. Cool.
All right. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. And once we come back, we'll discuss a little bit more. So, all right. Stay tuned, everybody.
So what happens on your break?
Commercial.
Oh, money.
Yeah.
You know what?
Turn off the microphone. welcome back, everybody. So, once again, this is thanks for tuning in to TV. This is I'm James Chen, and
hey, I'm Ultra David.
Yep, and we're talking a little bit about the topic about sexism in competitive gaming, but in particular the fighting game community, because recent incidents have kind of put us in a poor light in the public view, and it's become a major issue. And a lot of people, the hard thing about it is it became a major issue, but a lot of people are almost kind of trying to blow it off as like, oh, this is how we are, we talk smack, and, it's okay, this is, you just have to have a thick skin, take it, kind of thing. And one of the main things that I wanted to do, one of the main reasons why, we did this show is because we want to make sure that we want to point out to people that this is a real problem. This is actually a problem, and that, I've heard various stories from different females in the community say that, they've almost didn't enter in the fighting game community because it felt so hostile, because it did feel kind of frightening to come in here, because, it was very hard for them to be accepted. And so, I got a lot of emails from various females in the scene, and one of the most common things that they've been saying about, the shit talking and stuff, and you kind of got into this a little bit, Monique, was, obviously you're gonna get some of those, sexual comments or stuff that's specific just because you're a female. And they said that, at first they could obviously take it and it's all good, but what they kind of were talking about is that line. I think there was like 5 or 6 emails that they all specifically talked about the line that gets crossed, that when it just gets too much. So, I mean, I guess I would just like to know, your thoughts on that idea that, it's okay to go ahead and talk smack to girls, maybe sometimes even have a female specific, insult or comment or something, but there's definitely that line that should not be crossed.
Well, the line differs for everybody, I think. So, I mean, if we're talking about my particular case, and it might not be the same for everybody, and it certainly is not the same for every woman. In short, like just to state where I'm from the internet. My permanent residence is the internet. I'm actually sitting here. I turned on my phone that's dying for a second to look at all these fantastic images by the stream monsters. Thank you. I did have fun once, and it was awful. I never had fun. Actually, I loved that. So with that in mind, my line is like way, way, way out there. And another thing, too, that I really experienced, stop laughing. Did you see the image? Yeah, it's so fantastic. I'm laughing I took one look at it, and I'm laughing so hard at it.
Turn the laptop around.
That's fucking great, right? That really is me. Okay, anyway.
That's pretty hilarious.
But with that in mind, I mean, my line is just so it almost doesn't exist. And I don't know the case about these particular women who emailed you, but any time that anybody has said anything bad about me, it's never been to my face. It's always been online. And I'm not saying it's been like randoms online. In fact, there were a couple cases that people who came to Wednesday night fights had said something about me either to my husband when I was not around, or they waited to say it online to me. And of course it was super gendered, like blow me, you're just a new school trick, and all this sort of thing. So but I'm really lucky in that I, 1, am an asshole, and then 2, I have a lot of emotional support. So I think that that's something that we can all offer women who are coming into the community, that they have that sort of backing and support in those cases where people are making very sexist comments to them or harassing them.
All right. I don't feel like answering James's question, so I'm just gonna put it up
thanks.
there.
That's fine.
More interested in jumping to your point, actually.
Okay.
That you previously spoke about how people start saying like how community cannot change. Like it's too hard for the community to change. You know, I believe that's really not true. I mean, I can get all philosophical about this and talk about how community is inherently destabilizing in it within itself inherently, but I'll spare you that.
Yeah, go for it.
No.
Whatever you want to talk about.
Oh,
Don't drop the philosopher names though. Don't.
so you say I can't talk about Jacques' fiancé?
No.
Fiancé, I mean.
Don't mention that.
Too late. It's already been mentioned. He's actually still alive. He's actually a living philosopher.
Playing Soul Calibur? That's a philosopher.
Eating butter.
With Kayane? Okay, anyway.
All right.
Anyway.
Anyways, the thing is with community, it's going to be changing. Period. Community always changes because it's always being added and always being subtracted. There's nothing about community that's ever stable. Communities are always destabilizing. No matter what kind of community you're talking about. You're talking about racial communities, gender communities, subculture communities such as the gaming community. And you know what? Females are going to start joining these communities, period. I mean, the increase in females playing games has just grown exponentially. And with the ease of entry into gaming, with systems such as the Wii, you know, things with like Kinect and stuff, where literally gaming is just, you know, at your fingertips. You don't really need to do anything.
Some people have
more people are just going to get introduced to it. So you really don't have a choice. Your community is going to change whether you want it or not. And it's up to you if you're going to adapt to it or not. And really to think about this, like, can a male space really change to be inclusive of the female, of a female? Just one community example is theater. Let's talk about, you know, old Victorian theater back in Shakespeare days. All roles were played by men.
Right.
And then all of a sudden there was this huge scandal when women started coming in, you know. And also because you have to remember, back then, being in theater, it wasn't a glamorous job. It was seen as pretty, you know, kind of thing too, you know. And for a woman to be lower to do that is kind of like, it's a woman of questionable stature also, right then and there. So there's some similarities and stuff. But nowadays, do we have any questions about females being in theater, in opera and stuff like that? Well, not opera. Opera's completely different. But in theater, do we? No, it's completely natural. So I do think that there can be changes, but we can't look toward theater as saying like, oh, this is what we have to follow. 'Cause the gaming community is completely unique. But we can't say it's not possible because we've seen it. It's possible. History shows us it's possible. We need to figure out what we want to do as a community. This needs to be approached like this as a community rather than as individuals. The question was the line, by the way.
The line. Okay, I was about to say, what was the original question again?
Good stuff, Kara.
Okay. All right, the line. So, I've been kind of used to this. So the line, like, it's kind of far, so I don't really get offended or take it that seriously anymore. But to me, I advise any female coming into this game, you know, I know you just want to be there and just play the game and have fun. But if you were to take this thing very seriously, like, you need to come strong. Like, there's no way that you can come weak and expect to go somewhere far. And that's not just for gaming. That's anything in life. Like, nothing in life is ever going to be easy. They're just not going to give it your way, and then you get to the top. You know, you're going to have to fight for it. So there's no way that you're going to fight the internet world. Like, they're just too overpowering. Like, there's no way that you're going to go to every forum and fight back every single person out there who says a negative comment about you. But if something was to happen, you know, in real life, if someone was to say something to you negative in person that offends you, like, you know, sexually, about your gender or something like that, you better fight back. You better say something. Because a lot of people think that, you know, I say a lot of times you just got to stand up and brush it off. But that doesn't mean that you let things happen to you. That doesn't mean, like, ignore these comments. Like, you can address it, but you don't run away from it. There's a difference between standing up for yourself and, like, running away from the problem.
Right.
You know, so that's just my advice. And like I said, there's a line that people cross. For me, you know, you can say a lot of mean things to me and it won't offend me, especially like if I know you and I know that you're just saying it jokingly. But if I know that you're saying something hurtful and you meant it in a hurtful way, I will say something to you. I'll probably tell you to fuck off or some shit. I'll probably get a fist fight with you. I don't know, but I'll fight for myself. And that's what I'm not telling girls to go fight. I'm saying stand up for yourself. Yeah, you should definitely stand up for yourself and not just give up something that you really want to do. If that is what you're here originally to do, to play the game.
Right. Okay.
I like going after Sherry. She's funny. What was I going to say? Okay. The line. Okay. So when I stream, I do get, you know, there's people who are not nice. But like they were saying, like you can't fight, you know, the forums and all that. But what I always say, and I know this is going to sound like a really like Care Bear kind of thing, but I always like when I get the haters, of course, I always try to say like, oh, I don't dignify like negativity with response, or I try to be like, I fight hate with love. So my way is try to like, I guess, be so nice that sometimes I just get bored of bothering me, you know, because what are you going to do after a while? Well, there's some very persistent people who've been bothering me for like a whole year. It's pretty amazing. But most people will get tired, you know. So I feel like no matter what in life, you can never change people. You can only change yourself. So how I try to impact my stream and have my little community, you know, try to make it like, oh, it's just happy, is I try to change myself and try to be a good example. And, you know, there's times that I like rage too and I'm like, oh my God, it's so imba or something, you know. Right. But later I reflect like, oh, I need to be nice. Is that not a fighting?
No, I know what that word means. It's
okay,
cool.
sorry. I'm sorry. But like, I guess my way is like, just be positive and hopefully that my example can, you know, spread. Because who am I to say I don't have the power to change anyone, you know. You need to be more humble, and that's silly to think that I'm going to change someone. You can't change anyone. You can only change yourself, and then hopefully you can, you know, be an example. So I think that with that line, you know, however you deal with it, I think you should just realize you can't change that person who's doing it to you. You just reflect on yourself. So
okay. Well, I mean, kind of, I guess, extending on that a little bit, how do you feel about, you know, being role models, you know, because you guys are jumping into a community that's, you know, predominantly male dominated. So, you know, in a way, you're all role models. So, And Tricia, you're a very prominent member in the StarCraft community now. So, I mean, do you feel like that you should be? Do you feel like it is your job to be a role model, to be an inspiration to other females trying to get into the scene at all?
To be honest, my target isn't just to females. The whole reason why I know I'm going to sound like a Care Bear again, but like honest like real talk. I really only started to stream like so I can be positive and like try to make other people happy, and I've felt like if I stream then I can reach a bigger audience in that way. And you know, I kind of think it's kind of sad when people feel like you can be mean to people just because it's the internet, because the truth is, you know, yes, it might not be real in some sets and might be virtual, but to me it's still very real, because the things that you say hurt people's feelings, and their feelings are real. And to say that it's not real, you know, their feelings, or to you know, to just belittle their feelings, I think that's really rude, and that's so not true. So my whole thing is like, just because it's internet, hopefully one day we can all like just be respectable and just nice to each other and just like happy. So like I feel, of course I have to be a good role model. Every time like I rage, like even yesterday I admittedly I like had like I raged and then I tweeted like, I'm so sorry for being grumpy pants, you know, because I feel like I disappointed like what I call like my bear cubs, my viewers who I watch, because how can I say like, oh, you shouldn't do this and this, and then I'm doing that same thing, you know? So I don't want to be a hypocrite. So I feel like if you're streaming, you know, some people just do it for the money, or some people do it, whatever your reason is, that's totally up to you, and I'm not judging. But for me personally, I feel that yes, I have a total responsibility to be a good Because what is my goal? My goal when I stream is to try to influence others, to be happy. So for me in particular, of course, I have to be a good role model. If your goal is something else, that has nothing pertaining to that, then that's fine. Who am I to say anything? So.
And Sherry,
Okay,
obviously.
Me as a role model. At Fun Around, this is just an example. I was just really happy because, another female came up to me. She's like, oh, I haven't really been playing much, but I know who you are and I look up to you, I really like how you play Viper and stuff, and I think I'm going to pick up Viper too. And she's like, you inspire me. That made me feel really, really good about myself. And I was just like, man, I hope she doesn't see me like raging and like cursing out people and shit like that, because she should, that's not something you should be looking up to. But, I try to kind of set an example, like, as Megumi said, not just for females, but for everyone out there. Because I know it's hard for people who's new to the scene to, like, get in there and for other people to take them seriously as well. Like, not just females. So, to me, if you want to be taken seriously, you better show people what you got. Like, you better go in there not just laughing and, just losing and saying, oh, I didn't care about that loss. You better show something. And, what was I saying? Yeah. But being a role model, I think Keanu is a really good role model. Because, she's been in this. She's placed in Soul Calibur. She's, like, one of the best in the world in Soul Calibur, not just for being a female, but out of, like, everyone. And she's very quiet and very respectful, that type of person. So she's great for people to look up to. And not a lot of people know about her. People can't really interact with her. So, I try my best to go out to tournaments. And, I do my thing. And if anyone asks me, like, how is this community? I'll always be like, this community is great. There's the good and the bad. But you better, if you want to play this game seriously, stick with it and deal with what comes to you. And that's just kind of how my outlook is on the fighting game scene and as a role model.
Gotcha.
I'm going to jump on that, what you said. You know what? Ultimately, I think community is what you make of it. That's the important thing. A community is basically what you make of it. Anyways, me, myself, I'm in a different situation because I do more media stuff within, the fighting game community. I do photography and stuff. So
you're like the official photographer of Evo, for example.
Yeah. Which I still need to talk to them about, but for this year. But yeah, for me, actually, I try to shy away from the publicity of everything because, ultimately my responsibility is to get my photography that I need and, for things not to intrude and stuff. Like, so for me, I don't really see myself as a role model. I'm just going to live the life how I want to live. And like, even though I've done interviews and stuff like that, and I've had people tell me like, oh, you've been an inspiration for me, or, helping me come out, or, you've got me interested in photography. That's great and all. And, love to talk to you about it and stuff. And I actually do talk to people about it. But at the same time, I don't see myself as a role model because I'm just living however I want to be. And I think part of the reason I don't like the term role model is how I felt really tokenized in college for being a trans person. But that's a completely different story. And that's why I won't say I'm a role model. I'm just living life as I wish it to be.
Gotcha.
I'm not really a media person. I mean, I'm no. I was around before streams, and I was terrible then too. I'm not like Kara's like the official Evo photographer, and I'll do photography too, actually, but kind of my own thing for fun. I'm mostly an art photographer, so my place in this community now is just this is terrible, like glorified cheerleader. No. So I mean, now that I don't play and all my friends are around, I go around to support them. So to say I'm a role model, no, absolutely not. I never think of myself as a role model. I would think of somebody like Sherry more as a role model and Tricia, because, they play in their respective scenes, and they compete and they do well. But I'm just not the sort of person anyway to be a role model. I've shown I am. You are enrolling in my school, though, right? She's okay. My school, okay, she's full scholarship. No, so I'm an angry person. Obviously, by that picture, you guys can see I'm not. I don't have fun, and no, but really, I'm just like my mother. I'm super short-tempered, and I can never imagine being like, I'm sorry, guys, for being like grouch. I would be apologizing every second. I'm so, and then I'm somebody who suffers from. I mean, I have my own mental and emotional instabilities and illnesses and whatnot, so
everybody does.
No, I mean, guys, I'm on medication for this shit. I'm nobody's role model, and I'm not trying to be. And if anything, and I kind of expressed this on Twitter before I came, this notion of being so public, like being so exposed, and not in the way that everybody says it on stream, which I'm totally tired of that. By the way, stop. Stop that. No, this sort of exposure of having all these people pay attention, because I really am public with my life, but when it's online, it still feels anonymous. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, because it's who pays attention to some random chick who's tweeting, and then suddenly all these people are looking at me. So anyway, but I'm really public about every single thing that I feel. It's if I'm feeling anxiety, or I can't find a pair of tights that I want to wear today, everybody's gonna know about it, because I'm so out there, and I think it's because of that sort of lack of privacy. I'm not a very private person, that I don't think I would be a good role model, because I really would have to control myself and worry more about my presentation. Right. This is really odd too, because I'm a teacher, so you would think the teachers you think that teachers are role models. You do, and or people generally do think that teachers are role models. But yeah, no, I just I'm a terrible person. Don't be like me. Don't be like me. Okay. Don't be so crabby like me.
All right. So you want to take another quick break real fast?
Yeah, we're gonna take a quick break. We'll be right back, everybody. So stay tuned and stick around. All right, welcome back, everybody. We're actually here with some members of the fighting game community, some of the females in the fighting game community, and in the StarCraft community as well. So we're trying to discuss a little bit about the issue that's been going on recently on sexism in the fighting game community and in competitive gaming in general, and how we can move on. And once again, I just want to remind everyone, we've got Monique on the right here, who's been very involved in the SoCal scene of late, and Kara, of course, the photographer who's actually entered the scene playing Counter-Strike. Sherry Genix, who you probably all recently saw on Cross Assault, and she's been traveling to a lot of the tournaments, and Tricia, who is a very prominent member of the StarCraft community, who runs her own tournaments, and and for her bear cubs, yes, and she also puts the tables back and that I flip over, so it all kind of works out pretty well. So definitely want to thank you all again for coming out and chatting with us here today. So but one of the things that I wanted to do is I asked a bunch of people, a lot of other female members of the community who aren't in Southern California, some of their opinions on the situation. So obviously they weren't able to come on the show live, but a lot of them sent me some really nice emails about their thoughts and such. So I'm not going to read the whole emails and stuff like that, but kind of summarize what they're talking about. And so one of the other most prominent females in the fighting game community is Burn Your Bra, Sola, and she sent me an email where she was basically kind of talked about a little bit what Sherry said, is like she's been saying for the past few weeks that you have to have a thick skin in this community, regardless if you're male or female, because obviously guys get blasted as every bit as much as girls do. And in fact, we were just talking about Kusora, right, who came here and took Marvel at final round, and even he feels a little kind of, almost a little threatened, because final round is a very raw tournament, and it's cool that way. It's great that way. It's a perfect example of the fighting game community kind of atmosphere. But at the same time, it can seem hostile to anybody, whether you're female or male. So yeah, you actually have to come into this community with the thick skin, and I don't even think it's the fighting game community. I think it's any community, right? Because if you get blown up by just the wrong person who pops off on you, you can be chased away from any community. So, but she did say that a lot of the times females do get the worst of it, because it's kind of like easier to be childish towards women. It's like, it's almost kind of that easy target. It's easy to make those kind of, go back to the kitchen kind of comments, you know what I mean? Exactly. So, yep. Yeah, and
how could she play and not be in the kitchen at the same time?
But even she said kind of the same thing that Kara was talking about, that it's not even just a gaming community thing. It's everywhere in the world. It's in the corporate world and such. Humans in general, she said, are not always going to be compassionate and understanding. And she says, coming into the scene, you have to know what you want for yourself and what you want to accomplish. If you're doing this for anyone beside yourself, you're not going to last long. And she said, ladies, if you like the game, play the game. So that's kind of echoing what you said, Sherry. And so, and just like, and what I'm trying to say, she says as well, that there is absolutely no excuse for any form of like sexual harassment or anything. You can go ahead and talk shit to people, hate on people or whatever like that. But there's that, like, she mentioned, that there is that line to be crossed where it goes from, just being competitively, like talking shit, and then being hateful. And for some reason with women, it feels like crossing that line, going to the hateful realm, is just something that is easier to cross for some strange reason. And, I'm not sure why that is, but it just happens all the time. But, one of the things that she did bring up as well is that she did kind of want to call out the journalists a little bit who've been writing the stories about all this stuff, because they just found the first negative thing to pounce on, and then all of a sudden it's just like, it's, oh, this is horrible. The fighting game community, is horrible, and, there's been so many amazing stories about, the greatest things about fighting game community. And, for example, what happened with Larry recently, he had a tragedy in his family 2 days before final round. And then, everyone got together and really, stepped up for him. Well,
just to explain that we're talking about the organizer of the major final round tournament, which just happened this past weekend, where there were something like 1,200 to 1,300 entrants in total. It was a giant tournament 2 days before the tournament started. He lost his mother, and there was a very touching moment that I hope people got to catch on the stream, where he was very emotional about it, and everybody gave him a standing ovation and chanted final round and such. So,
yeah, and and there was a donation page put on finalround.org for his family, and and he said that when the first time he went and checked the totals, that he was just absolutely blown away. That he was so touched by how much the community had helped him. So, I do like that point from Sola that, while there's responsibility on us to mature, there's also responsibility on those that cover us to also mature and show the good side of everything that we actually do. I mean, because you got to think about it. We had this awesome tournament final round. It was amazing, and all this great stuff happened. And you think they're going to talk about it on, Kotaku or anything like that, so.
So do you have any reactions to what Sola says in this message, in the email that we've just been talking about?
Yeah, actually.
Okay.
Just kind of along the lines when you started talking about final round, because I had actually retweeted about that, about all the money that people donated. And just seeing that, I mean, I was sitting there in the car, so touched and really, really happy that I don't wear mascara because I was starting to cry. No, but I think what a lot of people don't see in this community is even the people who talk so much and the people who are basically the heels of the community, when you really, because we have heels in this community now where people are just kind of acting it up, I'm thinking about Noel and you look at their online personalities and whatnot, and they seem like the most obnoxious people ever. And then you see in person that these are real human beings who have they experience real emotions, real losses. And I think it really for me, it really gives me that sense of community that everybody there's much more to everybody than what you're going to see on that, on those websites. As far as those websites are concerned, I have to be honest. I went to and dropped out of one of the best journalist programs in the nation. It's like a state journalism program. My husband also went there too, and he didn't drop out. But I lived in a journalist-centered town. So when I saw all these things coming out, first of all, Kotaku it's just absolute sensationalism. And I really, really don't respect most articles coming out of Kotaku. I mean, they're really going to talk about sexism from the same website that introduced Kaio as a dude. I mean, that's basically, you're looking at 3 dudes. And I looked at that and I thought, this is the most disrespectful, obnoxious thing I've ever seen in my life. Right. One of the other sites that was criticizing sexual harassment and this sort of language was Penny Arcade. And I thought that was really interesting because Penny Arcade has actually come into a lot of controversy, especially more recently with one of their comics that people had a problem with. It was called A Sixth Slave or something like that, where, I mean, basically the point of humor was rape. So, right. I mean, for all these websites that do use that very sexualized, sexist, rape humor to be criticizing this particular community without actually reflecting on the ways they perpetuate this same sexist behavior was really interesting for me. But another thing too that really didn't sit well with me was the way, like the particular case we were talking about, with sexism and sexual harassment was reported, and more so how it was investigated. It wasn't. They looked at one person's Twitter, and they basically replied and copied and pasted those tweets, created a story based on it. Some of the facts weren't even completely right. I don't even think that anybody was interviewed. So I don't think both parties who were involved were interviewed. And I certainly don't think that, I certainly know that the other people present in the room or on the show were not contacted and interviewed for this. Right. So to create an entire story based on tweets and present it as fact seems, I mean, that's not journalism. I mean, I may have dropped out of journalism school, but I'm pretty sure that's not actually considered good journalism. So,
right. I mean, does anybody else want to comment on that email in particular?
Oh. Do you want to jump on the whole? First. I mean, jumping on what she's saying, like a lot of online journalism is about sensationalism. If we want to have anything about change or address this issue, it's never going to be through the media and stuff. Basically, like we can't expect the media to give us a good light, give us a bad light. They're going to jump on whatever will get them views. They don't care about anything else. So, I mean, this was a perfect example. This is perfect for them, to jump into there, because guess what? There's going to be a lot of heated debate. This is what they wanted. They wanted a bunch of comments on their webpage. And what really astounded me was how myopic the view was on this issue, because it just focused on a singular incident. Even if the facts were not correct, that part is, it doesn't even matter. That's regardless of the point, because they don't address the actuality that this isn't a fighting game community. The fighting game community shouldn't be crucified for this. What's the larger issue at hand? That this actually happens, and guess what? It happens on your other communities too, within the gaming community. Right. Don't believe this thing doesn't happen in Counter-Strike. Trust me, this shit also happens, but it's just, more behind closed doors and stuff. The thing is, this is the first time this was that. I think the big thing about this was because, 1, backed by a publisher. 2, reality show, and 3, the most important part, $25,000. If there's no $25,000 behind this story doesn't blow up.
Right. Okay.
Hello.
Well, I mean, if you have anything to say on it, feel free. But I mean.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say anything specific and mention any names because people already know the names out there. But I'd say the sexual harassment, like Kara said, is in every single community, and it is not condoned. People need to understand that. Like, we are not saying let that happen. Yeah, we support sexual harassment. We're saying, like, it's going to happen, and we're not saying, like, suck it up and deal with it. You can address it, but, like, understand that it is there. So, don't come all naive and stuff and say nothing's ever going to happen to me. And like she said, like both of them said, this issue was only made extremely public because of one incident on a reality show, which I can guarantee that not all the facts came out. And the story based on Kotaku was based off of a single person's tweet. And I did address this on my Twitter because I know that Kotaku made a post about Wednesday night fights. Yeah, we love sexual harassment because of like this little joke. I would say the joke that was said on Wednesday night fights commentary was out of hand. Like, it just wasn't the right time to say it.
Right.
Because if it was said at any other time when this wasn't an issue, people would have just laughed it off because of some, whatever, one person making it this big thing. Kotaku made it into this huge thing. And I can tell you, I've been in Wednesday night fights ever since it started, from the garage and Shiggles, in the OC before it became something big. Yeah, shout out to Shiggle BMX for hosting it in his garage. No one has ever personally sexually harassed me, like, in person. And when I said that, a lot of people were like, oh, so you've never felt sexual harassment. You don't have any say in this topic. And I was like, whoa. I just said I've never, like, experienced it in person and Wednesday night fights. But there's no way in hell that I never experienced it, because that shit happens online almost every single day once my name is out there. So, you know, I will back up Wednesday Night Fights all the way, saying that they definitely do not support sexual harassment. Like, if something serious was to happen at Wednesday Night Fights, everyone from Level Up, you know, people even around, just the regulars, would jump on that and be like, yo, you need to calm down. Like, you can't be doing that shit around here. So, and I can say from all the majors that I've been to, and I've been to a lot of majors within the past year, like, no one has ever came up to me and, like, sexually harassed me. Like, so all that bullshit with this journalism shit with the whole, like, oh, yeah, fighting game community supports sexual harassment, that is all bullshit. Because I've been there, and I've never been sexually harassed. Except for internet. But, like I said before, who's going to stop the internet?
Yeah, that kind of goes back to the whole, when you're on there, it's anonymous, and so it's so easy.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I wanted to kind of say something about Wednesday Night Fights. For them to say that Wednesday Night Fights supports sexual harassment, I have been harassed by somebody who did go to Wednesday Night Fights, did not harass me in that venue, harassed me online, and the guys knew who it was. So Level Up, they knew who the person was. The manager of Super, Mike Watson, knew who it was. And everybody had my back as soon as they heard what happened. So for people to say that, you know, Level Up promotes sexual harassment, I have to say from personal experience that everybody was ready to pull him aside and tell him that this is unacceptable. And for the most part, if you're going to come in and harass the women in this place, don't come around, you know, for these events. Right. So, I mean, I felt really supported, and they really, really had my back. And now they're being accused of promoting sexual harassment, and it was actually a person who's not related to Level Up. You know, it was just, and it was an incident. It happened, and accidents do happen, and like I said, was not related to Level Up. So right. I just want to say again, Level Up has been really, really good to me and very, very supportive. And I think it's been very, very supportive of Sherry, who's been in the scene, and making us feel very welcome and creating a safer space for us.
Kotaku, yellow journalism.
I just want to say something like in general, because I know there might be a lot of viewers right now who are a bit scared to get into the FGC. I just want to let everyone know that like the FGC is kind of like a family, whereas like, you know, we have our siblings, we argue, we fight, and so a lot of people see that and they're like, oh man, they're crazy, you know, they're hostile. But there have been experiences in the past where we all came together. Like, you know, one example is when Chris Hugh, his house burned down in New York, and then they started a donation thing, you know, just to get support out there. And everyone came together and, like, did this whole thing for him. Like, someone even threw a tournament, and, like, all the revenue from that went to Chris Hugh. And then, you know, another example is what happened with Larry this past week and last week, you know. This is just an example where, like, we might come off as hostile, and a lot of, like, sites might portray us this way. But if something was to attack us from the outside, like, we all come together. Like, right. We will support each other and have each other's back.
Well, we had a fun for Japan.
Yeah, the fight
and
for
the when the tsunami hit Japan, we threw this tournament at UCI
and at NorCal.
Yeah. And you know, we had like this donation for a golden tea stick from Markman. You know, so shout out to Mad Cats. So
we were all gonna be happy if we made like 1,000 or 2,000. Yeah. We made like $30,000.
$30,000, and you know, so just to let everybody know, like, we are very supportive of good causes.
Right. Well, I mean, so Tricia, you just recently came to Wednesday Night Fights the first time. You know, I mean, how did the environment feel to you? Did it feel threatening at all, or
so,
you know?
How many times have I gone? Like three or four times now?
4 times.
3 or 4 times. So the first time I went, I got thrown on to cast. and I never pretended to know anything. I said I'm not familiar with this, so I tried to make it as entertaining as possible, and I tried to be funny and cast it, like, because I know you guys say commentating, right?
Right.
And that's why I'm saying casting. I'm sorry. I need to correct my brain. Well, so I try to do it like a StarCraft style, just to be funny, because I'm not going to pretend like, oh, this, I have no idea. So, but even though some of my viewers who are watching, supporting me, they're like, oh, the stream monsters, as you guys call them, they're like so mean and you got so much hate and are you going to go back? The fighting game can blah, blah, blah. And my response from day one and still standing today is like, to be fair, you cannot generalize, like you can't generalize one community through one little experience through one individual. That's not fair. Like you can't just say, oh, this bad person, or this guy was mean to me at the fighting game community. That means all fighting game communities, wrong. For anything in life, you can't generalize that. And from my personal experience, every time I go, the reason why I came back after the commentating, even though like Stream Monsters didn't like it, I came back because I met everyone here. Like everyone's so cool, and I love, for me personally, the difference of. I mean, I love StarCraft. Don't get me wrong. I love StarCraft. I love esports. I'm all about it. That's why I do my Bear Cups tournaments, whatever. But the thing that I like about the fighting game community is that everything's live, like in person. And when I play ladder at home, everything's online, and some people feel braver with that. Because it's anonymous, right? So people feel more brave. They can say things that aren't so pleasant. But when it's live, even though they're talking smack too, it's fun, Like the first guy, I was totally like trolling him back, I was like, do you know, I never played this game yet. I was like, I haven't played since Super Nintendo. I was like, how does it feel if you lose to me, And I was teasing him, and I was like, yeah, what are you gonna do? And then I was like, do you play StarCraft? And then he's like, yeah, I'm Diamond League. And I was like, I was like, you're Diamond League? I was like, oh, I'm Masters. I was like, what are you going to do? I was like, oh, now I feel better because if I lose, I'm going to beat you in StarCraft. It's just like fun,
Shout outs to Kino.
Yeah. So I mean, like the whole reason, yeah. Like I love this because it's like live and I feel it's real. And everyone I met at fighting game, Wednesday night fights, they're all really nice, and even like the top players, they're like, you know what, I love what you're doing. You keep coming, and that shows respect. So respect back to you because I like how you keep coming back. And I was like, yeah, I'm so welcome. So even though some people may see from the outside, like online, if you saw my commentating and you saw the stream, you may think, oh, they hate her, they're so unwelcoming. But that's just online, So my personal experience is I appreciate everyone because they're so kind. So my viewpoint, I think it's unfair to just judge like just on the stream or just on one case or just one thing and generalize it, there's a reason why I keep coming back. I mean,
Cool. Well, I guess we're going to take another quick break, and then we'll jump to another email. So, definitely stick around. I mean, we've got a lot to talk about here, so, as long as
we're definitely running over our usual time limit. We started late, and I guess we'll just keep going until we have everything that we talked about.
Right. So, stick around, guys. We'll be right back.
be like, oop.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So welcome back to Ultra 10 TV. This week on the show that we do on this day of the week, we're talking with some women in competitive gaming, not just in fighting games, but also in StarCraft and with histories in first-person shooters, and so they have a lot of experience. And we're getting to some emails and Facebook messages from some other people some other women in game communities right now. So we have one from Samantha, aka Persia, that I think you want to read.
Yeah, there's one paragraph in particular that that I think is really kind of an important one. She writes down that well, I'll just read it. I would like to state that I hate the term female gamer or girl gamer. I think this, although it may seem small, is probably one of the reasons why females don't get much respect. I feel like by trying to separate ourselves into our own category, we're already admitting, well, we may not be as good as the guys, but I'm a female gamer and I'm good among other female gamers, which in reality isn't much of an accomplishment. Why does being a female gamer have to do with playing games to begin with? When I'm competing, it never crosses my mind that I'm a female playing against males. I'm simply a gamer competing against other gamers. I like the feel of competition. Drawing attention to the fact that we're females is ultimately pointless. So yeah, that's do you feel that way as well?
Well, I mean, first of all, I want to be really specific in that I want to differentiate between all female teams and then this term female gamer, because I think female teams and female tournaments do provide a space that is currently necessary for women who, I mean, again, it's about creating safe spaces. As far as self-identifying as a female gamer, I think it's really interesting because I think if you were to go to anybody playing in the WNBA and say, hey, what do you do? They wouldn't say, well, I'm a female basketball player, because you can see that they're female. They're presenting as female. So they would just say, I'm a basketball player. You're not going to say, oh, really? In the NBA? Yeah. So for me, I absolutely agree. It is very seemingly pointless to let people know that, hey, I'm female. I'm like, okay, yeah, thank you. I saw that.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's my thing. Is I just really don't understand the point of constantly letting people know instead of just saying that you are a gamer.
Right.
Well, the point is for that is that some people use it as, their marketing moniker kind of thing. For some people, this is how they make a living, being as, the girl gamer or, a girl that's interested in games. You can even see such things that happen, like Olivia Munn is a prime example of, how she got famous because, she's a nerdy girl, and that's an exception, So, of course. But at the same point, I have to say, even if you don't want to identify yourself as a girl gamer or a female gamer or whatever like that, it's just going to happen. And you can't just say, no, I'm just going to ignore that identity, or no, I'm just going to ignore that, because you know what? That's part of it. And rather than seeing it as a way to differentiate yourself, you should see it as a way for you to unite with people who, have the similar interests as you, because yes, you're also part of the gaming community. Yes, you're a gamer and stuff, but at the same time, there needs to be some, like what Monique said, it's necessary to have some safe spaces, for females within the gaming community, within any type of gaming community. That's why, in Counter-Strike, back in Counter-Strike, we had an IRC. We had this channel called Woman Nation, and it was just for female, players for Counter-Strike, because sometimes you just need to vent with some of the crap some of the guys gave you, or, it was just a way to be, just to have some fun without worrying about guys just harassing you online and stuff like that. Hey, I want to play a 10-man, and I don't want to play with any guys because, I'm tired of them playing it easy or something like that. So there is a necessary aspect of saying girl gamer, but for that, I think it's more of a bonding thing, and we shouldn't see it as something as like to differentiate. And when it comes down to it, she's right. A gamer is a gamer.
Let's see. I don't support like keeping us in our own category type of thing. But like I said before about Ladies Evil, it is something I do support. And a lot of people don't support it because they're like, yo, that's just as sexist as, blah, 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 blah. But I'm like, that's where I came from. I came from an all-female tournament. And even though not a lot of other girls stayed with the game, like, I did. So aren't you guys, like, isn't that what you guys want? To bring in females that take this game very seriously? So right now, I'm not, like, it's necessary for something like Ladies Evil to happen. Because people don't know, but it brought out, 48 females or something at that Evo. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot of females. That's a lot of females that people don't know about. And a lot of people's concern was like, oh, it's just going to bring out the attention whores and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, so do you guys know who the attention whores are? And people were like, oh, no, we don't know. Because it's like who do you know from the Ladies Evil tournament? You know Kiani. And Kiani is someone that people should know about because she is taking this game very seriously. So, I support stuff like that. I would never label myself as a female gamer. I feel like females who take the game seriously don't label themselves as it, but males in the community are going to label you as a female gamer. Right. Like, everywhere I go, every single time I play, people are always like, oh, you're pretty good. You're almost on Kiani's level. Or you're better than Kiani. Or you're not as good. That type of thing. They're always going to compare us to other girls. Right. They're not really going to compare us to people like Justin or stuff like that. That's going to be kind of hard to compare to. So, I can kind of see, like, why that happens, where this female gamer name, like, occurred. I don't support it, but, it is what it is for now because we're still the minority, so they're going to label us as female gamers. Right. But until then, once more females get in, people would just call us gamers. Like, it wouldn't be rare to see a female, and they're just like, oh, she's just a gamer.
Right. Just out of curiosity, has there ever been an all-female StarCraft tournament or anything like that?
There are.
There are?
There are actually quite a bit.
Okay.
Yeah. There's also a StarCraft 2 group, girls group, that I'm a part of on Facebook. I'm not really that active, but I am part of it. And I think, I personally don't join the female tournaments. When I practice, I play against, male, if I have to say male, just pros, and I try to get better. But I don't think there's anything wrong or really right. I think that no matter what, people have different pathways. If you're more comfortable with doing it that way, if you need your, like they're saying, like a, safe haven or little, you need your space, then that's fine. You might be more shy, and you might not be able to take it or have such thick skin. And if that's what you need, then I think that we should just respect it. I don't think we should see it so much as like male, female. I think, in life, you're not gonna, if your friend told you, like friend A told you, when you speak to me like this, or like when you say that, it's really offensive and hurtful to me. You're not gonna, and so like, okay, person A, even though my friend B can take it, I shouldn't speak this way to person A, I think we should just respect people as individuals. So if they happen to be female and they need that comfort, then I think that I don't know why you should really condone them or like for needing that. Because if I know like some topic was sensitive with one of my friends, I probably wouldn't try to be courteous and probably wouldn't want to bring that up around them, right? I'd probably kind of watch myself. But I know with these group of friends, like I can totally say it, like no problem, they don't get butthurt. But I'm not going to say like, why do you get so butthurt? What's wrong with you? You need to fix it. And just like, if I really care, then that's what you need to do. You should just treat people like with respect.
Yeah. And there's another thing that, hang on a second. There's another thing that Persia mentions here in the email that she sent me that I kind of want to talk about, is that sexism can come in many forms, not just obvious ones where you go around and say, go make me a sandwich or whatever like that, right? So one of the things that she talked about that she actually dislikes a lot is, she'll be waiting in line at Evo, in the bring your own console area where a bunch of people play casuals, and she'll be watching someone play using their main Marvel team, for like matches in a row, and then as soon as she gets up there, all of a sudden they switch to like some completely secondary team that they're completely ass at or whatever like that, because they just don't take the girls seriously, So, sexism that's almost kind of like a accidental sexism. And, that's another thing that I think us as players, we need to start, moving on from and such. So, do you have anything to say about that, Monique?
Actually, the thing that's funny is that I can speak for this, even though not for fighting game, but for StarCraft. Like if I'm practicing, then like people will have their main race, right? There's the races: Protoss, Terran, and Zerg. And then if I practice, a lot of them will just off race. They won't main race me because I'm not as good, right? So I kind of think that that's how she feels. So there is one person I recently interviewed for something. It's not released yet, but I interviewed him, and he's a Korean player. And it was the first time I met him. It was over Skype, and I had a translator. And he was like, okay, let's just play. After our interview was done, we played. And he's actually a Zerg player. So it was actually on my stream. So I'm not making fun of him at all. I adore him. He's the best. It was on my stream and live. And he's like, I'll play her Protoss, like, why would I play my Zerg? And then I beat him, like, with his off race. And the translator was saying, like, he was like, wow, what, she can micro, like, what is this? And he was, like, so shocked. And then I was like, I played as main actor, and then I lost. But I think, like, of course I lost. But I think I can relate in that sense. But I think it's up to the girl to be, maybe for her it's more offensive because she's in that, she's in a tournament, or I assume she's in a tournament.
Even casual.
Okay, even casual. Well. So it's how you take it. I could be offended, like, hey, how come you have to play my off race first? But then I got my little revenge, like, see, I beat you. Like, I'm not that bad. I could beat your off race. You have to play your main. So, yeah, I could see it's offensive, but I just try to make it more like why am I going to get mad and like have that grudge and just whatever,
Right. I'm actually curious what Monique has to say about this.
Can we put the camera on the person?
No problem.
on the right person over here?
Right.
Because
Here we go.
What's up?
Because the real offender over here, I remember someone came to Wednesday Night Fights, and we'll just call him Shmavid. All right, Shmavid. Right, no. So David comes in, and you play Honda.
Okay, but anyway, go on.
Huh? We're talking about Super Turbo.
Super Turbo.
Okay. You know what? You definitely did not go with your main against a girl who was playing.
That's true.
So you played her, you lost, and Paul asked you, why didn't you go with your main?
Indeed.
And you said, I didn't know she was any good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that's the same thing. And which was actually for me really surprising because she's consistently playing there. Most of the people. I've
never seen her before. Now I always pick Honda against her. No doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah, I can't apologize. I mean, that's.
Right, exactly.
That's definitely something that I did.
I actually don't understand why people do that because you would think you would approach it. I mean, personally, I would approach it in this, if you think it's going to be so easy and so quick, just get it over with so you can move on to the next match. I mean, just try to, do your best. I'm saying this because when I used to play Tekken, I played Leung, and my husband, who is a horrible human being, played Steve Fox. And if you guys know anything about Tekken 5, Steve Fox, oh my God, I've never cussed so much in my life. I mean, I slammed down and I just looked at him and I said, fuck you and fuck your bullshit character. And then I just walked out of the arcade. So, I mean, people should really not be afraid to just go all out against anybody they play against.
Yeah, so I recently played Tricia in tournament. Last week, we happened to get matched up first round. And although I have a hilarious main because it's Dan, and people thought that I was messing around, that's actually my main character. And it is in fact my main character. And so I learned my lesson.
I actually have a theory about why males will actually use like an off race or alternate character. Mainly, it's for them. Also, it's like a safety net. Oh, I didn't lose to you with my main person. That's my excuse. You know, I didn't get beat by a girl. Because ultimately, what is the biggest disgrace in the gaming community? You know, to lose to a girl. It's still very huge. You could lose to Ricky Ortiz. And someone's like, "Oh, you lost to a fag." He's like, "But still, he's a guy. He's Ricky Ortiz. He's really good, Right. But if you lose to a girl, no matter how good she is, like even with Kayani, how she's like basically French national champion, right. Like in Soul Calibur, I think it was 3 or 4. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure none of the French guys. Two. Okay, none of the French guys would have liked to lose to her. They would rather lose to somebody else because there's something very basically. I mean, I could say you're basically castrating the guy when you beat them with, their main. Really, think about it, because you put up all this time and stuff to train up and stuff, and then all of a sudden, randomly, a girl comes and beats you, But if you play your off character, hey, I got my excuse. I don't need to worry. Hey, she didn't beat my, main character.
Right.
David? Yeah. So when I had to play Sherry in tournament at Wednesday Night Fights, I went right to Dan, right? Like that was my main character, and I don't know if you thought it was a joke, but that's my main character.
No, I knew you made him.
Yeah, so. And you beat me, so.
Yeah, it happens.
Yep, it happens. So what do you have to say? Like, I guess like there's a possibility that like people could just think that a player is bad, not necessarily. Like maybe there are instances where somebody could think that a player is bad having never seen them play, and that player is a woman, and it gets misinterpreted. This is a message from Ski Sonic, who wants to ask this question. So.
I'm not really clear about that question.
Oh, let me just rephrase it then. We like players pick different characters against anybody that they think might suck.
Yeah.
And if you've never seen a player play, and that player is a woman, is there, like, would you be angry because you think that the player is picking his bad character because you're a woman, or would you just think it's because he thinks that you suck?
Well, I'd say from the FGC, it's probably both, because if you're a woman, you automatically suck. So, when that does happen, it does I'm like, man, I can't wait to body this motherfucker right here. But to me, that's like motivation. It's like, that situation is going to happen because I've experienced it so many times. And it's just like, it's something you don't want to happen. Like, you don't want to lose to this guy who chose a secondary, right? So you're like, man, I got to body this fool. Like, I gotta do something. I got to stand up for myself, prove to other people that I am here to do what I'm here to do. I'm here to body motherfuckers, right? So, when that does happen, if I lose, it's very disheartening because I'm like, man, like, he discredited me, and I kind of proved his point where I'm actually not that good because he beat me with a secondary. But what you got to do is come back from that and be like, no, I'm not going to let that happen again. I'm going to practice harder, and then I'm going to beat him and keep destroying him until he's like, because even though you're destroying a person's secondary, they are going to get mad. Like, if you beat them once, they'll be like, oh, I was choosing my secondary. They're going to make excuses for themselves, right? But if you keep beating them over and over again, you can see them get mad, and that makes me feel so good. Like, you can see them getting angry, and they're like, "Man, I'm losing," and they start sighing, they start grunting, and I'm like, "Yo, choose your main, just do it." And then they'll go to their main, and then that's when you body them again, and then they'll be like, "Okay, I can't beat this girl." It's something that's very satisfying to me to do. But of course, you can't just go in and just beat people. You have to practice, which is a big motivator point. I don't know, whatever crap. It just motivates me to practice against situations like that.
Cool.
I want to jump into a point about it. Like, a girl beating a guy is like, why is it so bad? We can see this in the fighting game community. Okay, when Ricky beats a guy, no pictures are drawn, right? When Kyle Police beats someone, beats Killer Kai, pictures are drawn. That's how you know how bad it is to lose to a girl or someone who identifies, presents as female. That's how you know it's bad.
Yeah.
A very magical picture.
That was a magical picture. I actually liked your picture.
I liked your picture too. You and KO.
Well, I don't know why Josh was Mexican in that.
That was a very entertaining picture, actually.
All right. Well, we'll be back in a second. We're gonna head to another break. But when we come back, actually, I want to read. I want to talk about an email that I got, and it kind of talks about a little bit about the other side of females in the fighting game community. So yeah, we'll be right back in just a little bit. All right, everybody, welcome back. And just wanted to briefly go over a little email that was written to us from Jessica. And, it's kind of the... Zombiesaurus, yeah. It's kind of...
Do you know her?
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, and she mentioned a little bit of the other side of the fighting game community. She actually says, personally, she has been treated amazingly in the short time she's been part of the scene. That she's gone to 4 majors and 2 of them by herself, and, obviously for, that's kind of daunting in a little bit. But, she says that, at every event, everybody's been good and respectful to her. And, so, she says that, the FGC is a community of friendship and common interests. It is full of friendly, helpful, caring people who want to see this community grow in a positive manner. And the mistakes of one should not scare anyone away from it. So, I just kind of wanted to, have that be the last email that I just bring up because, you know, we keep talking about all the sexism issues and stuff like that, and it's still making it sound like our community is bad because this is all we're focusing on. So I like the fact that Zombie Saris gave us, you know, this nice message that, you know, as a female, she's actually, you know, been treated very well in the community. But just to kind of close things out, you know, I just want to ask, you know, what all of your opinion is on what are the steps that we can take. Because I'm just going to say this right now. The people in the stream chat have been really bad. Like, it's obvious that there is a problem. If you just read the stream chat for this whole session, there's a problem.
Y'all are assholes.
Yeah, honestly, you sit there and read this, and you're just like, you know, okay, can we get anybody on the stream that's over 10 years old, please? You know, I mean, like I said, it's just so easy for them to jump to those kind of those kind of jokes.
Drinks.
So, I'm hungry, okay? I'm hungry.
Drinks.
I'm thinking about food right now. But, you know, obviously we're still not there yet. Mm-hmm. And it is a problem. We need to mature and grow. And, you know, what is your guys' opinion on the best way to actually get there?
Okay, well, the first thing I really think is important to establish is that, and I think that's true for any of us, is that when we're talking about this community, because it's a community that started offline and it started in arcades, and for the most part, you know, obviously online has been a big factor in bringing back fighting games and making them more national and international, and I mean, just on that massive scale. But still, at the same time, we're constantly complaining about netcode. So really, I mean, while online is a factor, offline, we always know it's still the best. So with that in mind, I really think it's the offline community that's the core community. And I think it's really important that we do not conflate the comments of people on streams or people in forums with those actual participating and active members of this community. Right. Who, I mean, some of these people are people who will never, ever compete or show up at any tournaments, not even locally. So, and that's always been the case. You had before you had streams, you had people on forums. Right. So, and I think I said that before we had streams and Stream Monsters, they were on forums and we called them dumb shits. So, so I mean, with that in mind, I really think, and Kara touched on this, is that community it's active and it's constantly changing. So with more women joining and with more of an influx or you know, with a reshaping of the community, the people in this community don't have any choice except to, you know, get used to the change or start adapting. Right. Because people who don't adapt are just going to be left out of the community, basically. But I mean, just to kind of keep it on a more positive note, along with what Jessica said, and you know, I have to actually say Jessica's amazing. I really have to point out how amazing Jessica is. So the reason why I know who Jessica is because she had been chatting with Josh when he was staying with me. Nerd Josh stayed with us for like about 2 months. Right. And that's how I found out who she was, because I started teasing her through his Facebook, pretending to be him, because I do this. I do this so much. I mean, I live with Steve now, who people unfortunately call Tasty Steve. It's terrible. And I always post on his Twitter and his Facebook, but yeah, I do that. And she really took it in stride, and she's really fun. She's like an amazing person. Anyway, I just wanted to say that about Jessica. But no, community-wise, you know, we've been talking about all these very important issues that are issues that go across time and space. I mean, I'm a grad student right now, and I have definitely felt sexism within like my PhD program, or within, you know, on the UCLA campus. So it's an issue everywhere. And it's not specific at all to gaming communities, even though this is an obviously male-dominated space. Right. But like with that said, you know, I've also made like some of the most amazing friends here. I want to say that the overwhelming majority of friends I have are from the fighting game community. Yeah. I mean, I have to say like 90% of my friends. I met my husband through this community. I met my husband in an arcade. So, you know, just on that note, there are like, it just really, really pains me to see all these articles come up stereotyping the community, because you meet such amazing people and you form really deep bonds. And you have really, really intelligent people, you know, and David too. You know, I really actually, I do. I actually respect what he writes. You know, it's like he wrote something on SRK within the last few months, and it was really, really interesting. So, I mean, and then, you know, I actually have to say, Arturo Sanchez is a fantastic writer. I mean, you might not know this, but he's like really, really a good writer. So, I don't know, you meet a lot of really intelligent and diverse people in the community.
So the question was, how do we remedy this issue, correct?
Yeah, well, what steps can we take? Because we're obviously not going to change anything overnight. And in fact, a year from now, it's probably not going to be that much better. But what can we start doing to get down that path?
Well, this is a start, you know. The first thing is always, you know, address and identify the issues. And this is that's the purpose of this right now. Mm-hmm. You know, even though it's just a subsect of the community, at least it's out there. And you know, that's what you need. Now, am I saying that we need like the UN a State of the Woman address every 2 years? No, we're not the United Nations. We don't need that kind of thing. Okay, but this is good, you know, and it just gives us time to reflect and stuff about this. About online's never going to change. So it's going to be like that, because you always have that layer of anonymity, and you always have things like, even on Reddit, they have things they call throwaway accounts. Basically, because, you know, they're throwaway. People are going to troll. People are going to, you know, people have novelty accounts. People have throwaway accounts and stuff. There's that layer of safety, because no one's going to be like, find your IP, send a punch through your monitor and knock you out. You know, right now, technology's not there. There's no physical threat on that. So, I mean, the worst what's going to happen, you're going to get DDoS'd. Right. But even then, that's not that easy to do. So that's why people are always going to be more harsh, more real. But sometimes people just do it just to provoke something for you. So online's never going to change. Keep on trolling. Right. How do we actually get how do we actually get change? Well, community leaders, you know. Not so much that they have to do something actively, but as long as, you know, they're good examples. So tournament organizers, you know, streamers, commentators, and such. Like, if you can respect, you know, a female, you know, without demeaning her and stuff, that goes a long way. You know, same thing as, you know, not demeaning something as, like, you know, if there's a female tournament or something like that. That's what probably causes the most would cause the most change, is community leaders, because, you know, you guys are looked up to. You know, you don't get thousands of views each week because people don't care about you, you know. You don't get tens of thousands of people watching your commentary saying you guys are the best commentary pair because people don't care about you, you know. So you guys are vehicles of change, and you know what? Kudos to you for doing this, because this is a great first step.
It's too much responsibility. I can't handle.
Applause.
Let's see. I really have no idea how to remedy this issue. So, I say online, like Kara said, it is almost impossible to get people to change online. So from what my understanding is, the stream chat was blowing up already. You know, like we're talking about dealing with sexism, and they're just being all sexist in the chat. So I was like, you know, that's gonna happen, because if you talk about females, everyone just like starts blowing up in the stream chat, negatively, of course. And but I say in the community, so far everything has been going, you know, pretty good so far. Like, people are very supportive of us in real life. Like, when we go to major tournaments, we don't get